What's up guys, Stiegel here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. So today I want to show you the healer setups that I suggest for the two healers for veteran trials in ESO for the Homestead update. I really want to stress at this point of the video that I suggest these. It's not like you have to play like this as a healer to be successful in trials at all. If you can make things work in a different way, if your group gets good results, play the way you want to play your healer. Like, there's things you need to keep in mind and like things I want to point out in this video, but do not let anyone tell you how to heal. Your role in a group is to support, be the player for resource management and also keep them alive with your heals. And if you can make it work in a different way and everybody is happy in your group and you're getting good results, just keep on playing the way you play it, because it's really important that you feel comfortable with your bar setup and all that stuff. So if you think you can make things work the way you play right now, just keep on playing that like that. So I want to start with stats first. So I'm currently sitting at almost 41.2k max magic, about 18.1k health with 13 points into health. I have everything enchanted with a max magic, 2.1k recovery. I'm a Breton. If I was a vampire and a high elf, I'd have a little bit more. And my spell damage is not that high. My spell crit is at about 42%. I'm using the Atrian Augmented Stone, max health, max magic, buff food. So that's pretty much it for the stats for this setup. Just like use some extra buff food. So I want to start with weapons first, because I want to talk about traits, and you can see that I'm currently using defending traits. It's not the best option, but it's a solid option. If you take a little bit more damage, it will make you tankier, which is nice. So I get 5.1k more spell and physical resistance, which is nice. So the damage I take is reduced by about 10%, depending if I'm at the resistance cap or not. And basically I do not need to slot the rune focus. Actually, I do not need to slot it at all, even if I do not have defending staffs. But traits that I suggest are first defending. Then I also suggest a powered staff. So if you have a powered staff, it will increase the healing done by 7%. And also, like, if you do crit heals, your heals will also benefit from the extra healing you do with the powered staff. So for a restoration staff for your main bar, powered would be best for healing. You can also use a precise one. Precise will increase. Where do I have precise weapon? I think here, like, precise will increase the spell crit value by 7% if it's legendary, and you do more crit heals, but your crit chance is still like below 50%. So I'm not sure if it's like the best trait for a restoration staff. I personally go with a powered one. Infused on the master restoration staff is also nice, because you can see it gives me more max magic and I restore stamina every time I use healing springs, the first tick. So an infused staff will give me more max magic and restore more magic stamina, which with the first tick of healing springs. So like, only for the master restoration stuff I recommend, you can use infused, but it's not like one of the traits you should run. So powered is the one that you should go for. Even on the master restoration stuff, it's a little bit better. So you need to farm veteran Dragonstone Arena to get the master restoration stuff. However, you can use random staffs here, or if you have like a spell power cure and restoration staff, or from any other set that you wear, you can use a monster head or shoulder piece to increase your max magic, your recovery, or whatever you want to increase. So powered master restoration stuff would be the best option, I guess. And then on the front bar, we have a lightning staff. It's really important that you have a lightning staff here. I will get to that later. And the trade. I've heard from some people that they say like the best trade is charged. So charged will, I do not have a charged weapon here, I guess. Charged will increase the probability to apply a status effect by 220% if it's legendary, if I'm correct, and or at least like 200%. So we did a lot of testing. Some people might know it. I'm currently playing and leveling account on PC, and I'm also running trials, and I did a lot of testing with very experienced players, and we tracked all the debuffs with the add-ons and also during trials. And a charged staff, charged lightning staff, is just not worth it on the front bar. Go with precise power defending on the front bar, whatever you want. Charged, it's not worth it. What you want to do, because there's been changes with the Homestead patch, lightning damage, like from the blockade or from the liquid lightning from sorcerers or the pets or the Elambris or whatever deals shock damage, can apply minor vulnerability, because shock damage can apply concussion, and like the concussion status effect got changed. So when you concuss an enemy, he gets minor vulnerability, which is he takes 8% more damage. So with a charged staff, you'd have a higher chance to apply the status effect. But there's so much shock damage in our trials group. We had, I think, like 3 sorcerers with us, and then the 2 healers running Blockade of Storms, and we had a 96% uptime on minor vulnerability without a charged staff. And like we at least have 88-90% minor vulnerability uptime on all the bosses without Infallible Ether, so we do not use the set anymore, but I will get to that later. So a charged staff, we do not need it. Also, when you swap bars, you do not have the charged staff on the bar anymore, and you do not, for some, I'm not sure if it's intended or if there was some other issues. Like if you swap bars, for example, if I had a charged staff and there was like an enemy, I'd cast Blockade of Storms, and he will be affected by concussion a couple times, and then I swap bars, and after the status effect runs out, even if the Blockade of Storms is still down, the probability to apply the status effect will be much less, because I do not have the charged staff or the charged trait on my bar anymore. So bar swapping will be an issue, or like will not let you apply the status effect with a higher probability. So charged, in my opinion, is just not worth it. I do not really recommend it on the lightning stuff. You can use it, like if you spend some time on the front bar, yeah, it might be a little bit better, but the difference is really minimal. We have so much shock damage in our trials that and AoE shock damage, of course, that you do not need the charge staff, especially if you swap bars, or if you like spend most of the time on the restoration staff bar anyway. So so much for traits, just to clear that up. And then to the sets I'm running. So one of the healers should run the following, which is Spell Power Cure, 5 pieces. Pretty common for healers. Max magic, spell damage, and when you heal a friendly target that is at max health, I have a 50% chance to increase their weapon and spell damage by 258. So it's a good damage boost for the whole group. Only 6 people can get affected by it, so both healers should run it. A trial, of course, and you can get this in White Gold Tower, and just go there and try to farm all that stuff. And I have infused on the big pieces, as you can see. And then the other set that I'm running, as the mending set. That one you can get in Ethereum Archive. So I've talked about this set quite a lot, and it's really powerful. Some people do not understand how the set works. So we get recovery, we get max magic, 2% more healing done, and when I use an AoE heal ability, I will reduce the weapon damage of all enemies within 10 meters of me by 430 for 3 seconds. So every time I use like healing springs, combat prayer, also extended ritual, I reduce the weapon damage. But the thing is, in PvE there's only weapon damage. There is no such thing as spell damage. So when I'm standing like next to the boss, I'm using combat prayer, his attacks will deal less damage, and the damage reduction is about as strong as a Nova. Yep, it's really strong. It's freaking strong, trust me. So we've tested it a couple times, and it's super powerful, especially in VMall, and I highly recommend that you farm Ethereum Archive so your healers can get this set. It's really useful, trust me. So one healer uses Spell Cure Mending, and the other one has some options. Like for max resource management, I recommend to go with the following setup, which is the Worm Cult setup. Unfortunately, I do not have a legendary neck, so Worm. So I still have 5 pieces. Yeah, okay. So Worm gives me spell damage, max magic, recovery, and it reduces the cost of abilities that consume Magicka by 5% for me and 11 other people in my group within 28 meters of me. So my stats currently look like this. So I have a little bit less max magic, but I think this is due to the traits that I run on this setup. I have a little bit less magic recovery. I, however, have a spell damage glyph on my Worm setup, so you can see I have a little bit more spell damage here. Spell crit is about the same, so about everything is pretty much the same. I just have more spell damage from the set and also from my glyph, and you could also put recovery here, so the recovery should be about the same as well the mending setup. And this is really good for resource management. And this is one of the other setups that I suggest. What you also can use, of course, is Infallible Ether. And people will be a bit confused, I guess, because Infallible Ether, there's certain different ways where you can use it, like. So I still have 5 pieces. Okay, I have 5 pieces of Infallible Ether right now. I'm using like the staffs that I always use. Infallible Ether is useless in a lot of raids because, as I said, we have a high concussion uptime, so a high uptime of minor vulnerability, and like the first 3 set bonuses are useless, and the 5-piece bonus is if you do a fully charged heavy attack, I deal an additional extra damage, which is also not important. But when I do a fully charged heavy attack, or if I do heavy attacks with my restoration staff or lightning staff, I will apply minor vulnerability for 10 seconds on a target and increase their damage taken by 8%. So in some trials, I think like here in Hellra, the first boss and the first 2 bosses in Ethereum Archive, they cannot be affected by concussion. They can, I think, I'm not sure if they can also not be set off balance, but they cannot be affected by concussion. So to maximize DPS, you need Infallible Ether, unfortunately, but in all the other trials, you do not need this setup. And my stats currently look like this. So I have way less max magic, 39.8k, a little bit more spell damage, not as much magical recovery. So all these set bonuses are pretty weak. I do have a little bit more spell crit, but I I really don't really like the set for healers. Twilight Remedy, not a set that I personally suggest. Like, there's other sets like the Gossamer set. No, I will just go back to the mending set. Like, Twilight Remedy is not really worth it. If you do not have the mending set, if you do not need to use Infallible Ether, you could go with Twilight Remedy. Gives you recovery, minor Aegis, spell damage, and then your synergies, if someone uses them, you give them a nice heal over time, and also minor force. For some reason, crit damage is still at 12% with this set, which is a bit weird, because minor force got changed to 10%. If I'm correct, I will just have a look at the Frighter's Guild, because right here you can see minor force increasing damage by 10%, but it's I'm not sure if it's just like a tooltip error. Minor force 12%. It's a bit weird, but you can go with Twilight Remedy, of course, as well. It's not like the best option. I suggest to go with Mending and Warm, or Mending and maybe even like another setup like Gossamer, which I do not have with me right now for some reason. Just let me have a look if I have the waste here. Doesn't seem like it. No, I'm pretty sure. No, I for some reason I do not have it here. So these are the setups, the gear setups that I suggest. So Mending and Warm, very good setup. Just put on the Mending setup again. So for skills, I want to start with skills right now. As you can see, I do not have the shield on my main bar anymore. However, I slotted Rapid Regen again. The thing is, I talked to a lot of people on PC, and what they say is, you can see the difference of costs of like Rapid Regen and Breath of Life. And of course, flash heal is always really important, but the heal per click or per cast on Rapid Regen should be the strongest heal in the game. So if I use it once, 2 nearby allies will get the healing done. I've heard from some people that it's a little bit buggy, because you cannot like heal everyone with it, but over 16.5 seconds they get healed by more than 19k. So if I buff myself, it's almost 24k. And what they suggested is, and I tried it out and it's working, to like mainly heal with Rapid Regen all the time, and only if we need to stack a little bit more, I use Healing Springs. I will just put it down once, and it lasts for 3 seconds. Like, put it down once to apply the Mending debuff, and then most of the time use Healing Springs, and then apply it again, apply my other heals, Combat Prayer again, Healing Springs again, and all that stuff, and it will help manage your resources a bit better. And then also it's a really good heal. I've tried it out, it's working. You do not need to use Rapid Regen. You can also use Mutagen, of course, but you do not need to slot on the bar. Like, most of the other time I slotted my shield here, or I used Power of the Light on the bar to reduce resistances, but I will get to that soon. So I have Breath of Life here, which is my flash heal. So if anyone is out of my healing AoE heal range, I use this to keep them alive. Then I have my Healing Springs, which is my main heal if we stack up together. Really good heal. You can stack the the heal AoE. So if you like cast it multiple times, will be multiple circles that heal. So you spam cast this ability like a lot of times if your group is stacked in front of you. Then what's really important, combat prayer. And I really suggest like this should be like the ability that you cast second most. If you use rapid regen, maybe this will be the ability that you cast most of the times, but reapply combat prayer every time you can. Like if you do not know what to do because like the HP of your group is at max like almost all the time, use combat prayer to have a high uptime, because combat prayer will give your group, first of all, resistances. It's not a lot, but it's still something. It's also a real nice AoE flash heal, a real nice AoE heal, and they gain minor berserk, which is 8% more damage. Of course, night blades do not need it. Still, like in our trial, there's not a lot of night blades, so we use combat prayer to buff them and buff the group's damage. And it's really important that you keep this buff up all the time. Like in most groups, this will be up less than 50% of the time, and it's a huge damage loss. Trust me. Try to get it up, or like to keep this buff up at least 8% of the time. It will be a little bit difficult on consoles, but you have buff trackers on PC, so it's possible to keep it up most of the fight. Then we have Inner Light. So Inner Light gives me more spell crit chance, and also gives me 7% more max magic, 5% from the skill, 2 from the passives. And it's really, really great to have more max magic because I do more healing than that, and I have more resources. Then I have Aggressive Warhorn. This is the ultimate that you should always run on your bar. You can also put it on the front bar and put like barrier here to get more recovery, but I recommend to go with Aggressive Horn on your main bar to use it faster, to have less downtime on major forts. And the thing is, you increase the group's max pulls by 10% for 30 seconds, so they have more health and survive longer. They have more max magic and do more damage, and they also get 15% more crit damage. This got changed a little bit, but still the crit damage output is the same. So major forts, more crit damage, 15% for 9.5 seconds. Really, really important. So this is like the bar that I always use like this. Like rapid regen is a flex spot, so you can put other skills there as well. And then the front bar, it changes a little bit. So depending on what trial you are in and what role you play, you should slot some abilities. So what I recommend to slot to like every healer should have is the Blockade of Storms. The reason for that is concussed enemies get set off balance for 4 seconds. Why is that important? In Champion Point tree, we have a passive that's called Exploiter. An Exploiter, if like every DPS in your group, every magic DPS in your group can put 75 points into Thaumaturge to unlock Exploiter, and off-balance enemies will take 10% more damage, and that is huge because you can keep your enemies off balance a lot of times. So like almost the whole fight they can be set off balance. I think at least like 70% of the time, 60-70% of time they're set off balance. And your group will deal more damage, so you need to keep the blockade up all the time. It only lasts for 8 seconds, so it's really important, and I'd recommend both healers use it to have a higher uptime of balance. I recommend to run this on every bar, and then also on both healers, and then also for both healers the orbs. It doesn't matter if it's the Mystic or the Energetic orb. This one directly restores Magicka. The Energetic orb heals your allies. So the thing about the Mystic orb is an ally can activate synergy to instantly restore 3.7k Magicka, and then 1% of their Magicka over 10 seconds for every enemy hit. And also, what's really important, you restore the max magic to every ally nearby. So if one uses it, it will restore the Magicka to allies as well. So if you throw multiple orbs, tell your group they should all activate the synergies. It's really important that you remind your group they all should activate the synergies, so the resource management is better. What I also do recommend is like extended ritual. Sometimes you need to swap it out for other skills, but there's a passive while standing in your cleansing ritual, rune focus, etc. you get major mending, increases your healing done by 25%. So while I stand here, my healing done is increased, and this has a huge radius, so I have more freedom to move. You can also use like rune focus, of course, but rune focus is really small. And also this is an extra heal, like I heal nearby allies every 2 seconds for an additional 1.4k non-crit, which is nice. And then also allies can use the Purify Synergy, so it's another synergy. They will get back resources, and also they can cleanse themselves, which is also really nice. And then of course I have your shield here, like from the front bar ultimate. You can use Solar Prison, you can use you can also use barrier. It's totally up to you and up to the trial you want to run. I also recommend to run a shield. You do not like need to run a shield, but what you could do instead of running a shield is slot different abilities. So what you see here, I do not have my Blazing Spear here. Personally, I'd remorph it to the other morph, because Blazing Spear cannot stun anymore. What they changed about Blazing Spear, it now lasts for 8 seconds and deals like more dot damage. So the other morph also like doesn't restore as much stamina over time. It's just like 200 less stamina, but it also restores Magicka, which is nice. And also it concusses an enemy, so he will be able to get set off balance, which is also nice. So use the other morph, but most of the time you won't need to run an Aeric Spear, like the Blazing Spear or the Luminous Spear on your bar, because you have Magicka, Templar, DPS, and they all have spears. So if your tank needs stamina back, the DPS will throw a shard. So you do not need to run it as a healer, and because of that, you will you can slot Harness Magicka on the front bar to have your shield. And then what only one healer needs to slot is Elemental Drain. So what also got changed is new is the minor Magicka Steel debuff, and I apply this to one or multiple opponents, and every time this enemy is hit, the attacker gets back 400 Magicka every second while damaging. So basically your recovery is increased by 800, and it's almost impossible with orbs and Elemental Drain to run out of Magicka. If you have a lot of enemies, you can slot Radiant Aura, because Radiant Aura will apply minor Magicka Steel for 18 seconds to everyone within a 27 meter radius, which is huge. And then also you get more recovery, but that's not really important because you get that from potion anyways. So Radiant Aura is also an option, but if you like need to debuff your opponents in certain fights, if the group splits, you only have, and you're not on like a side where you have a tank elemental drain is better because you also reduce resistances of the opponent, which means more damage. So only one healer needs to slot this in certain, like if your group is together all the time, like in VMO, only one healer needs to slot this. The other one should use Power of the Light. Power of the Light will reduce the resistance of your opponent by 1.3k, which is a few percent more damage. So the other healer's bar pretty much looks like this. Or maybe he can also use the shards instead of a shield. Like most of the time you won't need a shield, but in hard mode content it's beneficial to use it. Then again, like for Ethereum Archive hard mode, it's really good to have rapid regen. If your group isn't stacked up at the last boss, it's great to have rapid regen to heal them a little bit more. So these are pretty much the setups and bar setups that I recommend for healers right now, for trials. For champion points, no, not campaigns, champion points, it looks pretty much like this. So we have 100 into Magician for cost reduction, 100 into Arcanist. And on the red tree, it's pretty simple. I put points into like any tree where I think I need the points. Like if I get a lot of physical damage, poison damage and all that stuff, I put points here. If I get a lot of mental damage, I put points here. I put some points into quick recovery for a field physician to get less damage while I rest someone. And then blue tree is also pretty simple. I put 100 points into blast and 100 into Elfborn. So 100 points into more healing done and 100 points into more crit heals. So when I critically heal someone, my crit heals are stronger. So that's actually about it. Video got a little bit longer, but I wanted to like stress some points. Of course, like on your bars, you do not need to slot in a light. So I wanted to show you how my stats look without in a light. I will just like slot the shield here. And then my max magic looks like this. I still have plenty of max magic. I can get the spell crit from potions, like 38.7k is still a lot with the Master's Restoration Staff. Let me just like use a different staff. So if you like do not have a Master's Restoration Staff, I will use this one, so my stats look like this. I'm still sitting at 37.3k, which is enough. Trust me, it is enough. So you do not necessarily need inner light on the bar, but it helps a little bit. It gives you more healing, so you have one more spot. I personally prefer to run with inner light because like shards can be thrown by DPS, and only one healer needs drain, the other one can slot Power of the Light. And that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it can help you a little bit with the healing and all that stuff. And I hope to see you next time, guys. So until then, bye bye.